the loneliness of city life. You know, you're seeing more and more urban centers. You're seeing rural areas also where you have migrant populations. You know, the men go to work. Like in Bihar, there are many places where they're saying that they are ghost towns. There are just the elderly who are left behind in the villages because the men have gone and the women go away somewhere to their, or
To the
else
farms.
to the farms to work, and they leave the older parents at home with the children. The women are working in the farm. So you're talking about nobody left in the villages. And when you're coming to the urban areas, the homes are too small, so people move out. So you're talking about aging population who don't have that security net. And we saw this especially during COVID times also. जो पहले सत्संग में चले जाते थे या neighborhood walks पे चले जाते थे, sitting in a group, those systems broke down. Somebody, like a group of 20 women would get together for a laugh club or something. One person dies in that group bikhar gaya. So increasingly problems of loneliness in aging populations. And what they are saying is that you're getting child psychologists, child therapists, but you don't have problems for geriatrics. That issue is
So
not there.
that in itself is a myth that we're getting more psychologists and more child therapists.
But those who are
but
available
but
are those who are.
there is, let's say, a more visible conversation about some disorders. Like, for example, there will be some conversation about ADHD. There will be some conversation about autism. There will be some conversation about anxiety and depression. Maybe OCD. There will be some conversation. Mood disorder. There will be some conversation. Older people and depression. Older people and loneliness. Cognitive impairment. Dementia. Those are conversations that are not even beginning to start.
Yes.
Right? And again, what I'm saying is, people tell me that because I run three kinds of services. I run a not-for-profit service, I run a corporate mental health service through a hospital, and I run a South Delhi service. Right? So I meet people who are as vulnerable as women who have been trafficked, children in care homes, people in old age homes, people on the streets. Through my not-for-profit, I meet people whose narrative I can share more easily because they come from the same middle class context that I come through. And then I work with people who come to a corporate hospital from Afghanistan to Dhaka, the whole range of people.
And that means conflict zones.
And that also means conflict zones.
Yeah.
Through the not-for-profit, we also work in disaster zones.
Okay.
Post tsunami, post
PTSD issues.
So huge issues. So when I see a range of things, people tell me, "Why don't you specialize in one? You would be much more effective if you specialize in one." And I say, one of my teachers, whom I met only for 10 days in my whole psychiatry training, because, I trained at PGI Chandigarh, and then you are posted for 1 year to one month to NIMHANS Bangalore. And at that time, the director of NIMHANS Bangalore was Dr. R.S. Murthy, Professor R.S. Murthy. And he said one sentence to me that in India, if you have to be a mental health professional, you have to be a social protagonist. You cannot be only a mental health professional. And that's the reality. That in India, not just me, most mental health professionals have to struggle at the level of a range of people, because the need is so huge. You can't end up saying, okay, I will choose to do this much, because the person who's coming to you will have a father, will have a child, will also come back to you. The community that you live in will have a school which will also come to you. We'll have a university which will also come to you. So what then is, you have to conserve your time and say, okay, I'll work with a team. And then you have to struggle with processes of for example, credentialing and skill base of psychologists is a huge issue in this country. People with graduation, people with post-graduation are not credentialed sometimes to become mental health professionals. So it becomes an issue then. Whom do you train and whom do you employ to provide services?
So why aren't they done? Why are they not credentialed?
Because
We don't have a system of doing
because again, no, there's a system. Rehabilitation Council of India is supposed to credential psychologists because mental health is also causes disability. But as I have described, there are a broad number of mental health problems
Yes.
which cannot be dealt with by only a disability human resource organization. You need a whole workforce for school mental health services. You need a whole workforce for university counseling. You need a whole workforce. So if IT is a growth area for human resources or AI is a growth area for human resources, believe me, if we started investing on mental health, for example, one idea, create one ASHA worker extra in a village, link that to Manrega, link that to Manrega in a manner that it focuses only on disability and mental health in the village. You've created so many more jobs.
Yes.
You've created a different kind of employment.
Yeah.
And you've reached every village. So you have to be innovative if you're going to address mental health in this country.
Click here to watch the full episode.